This episode of Clear Shots is brought to you by Pinecast.com. Pinecast.com is an easy-to-use podcast hosting website that lets you post your show to the leading podcast platforms, including Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, and more. Their free plan works for short-form podcasts, and their cheapest plan is only $5 a month. With Pinecast, you'll get access to unlimited episodes, unlimited storage, unlimited bandwidth, accurate analytics, and a website creator. Sign up for Pinecast today using the promo code R-63F8FB to get 40% off your first 4 months. If you got a podcast or are thinking about starting a podcast, there's no better place to do it than Pinecast.com. Again, visit Pinecast.com and use the code R-63F8FB to get 40% off your first 4 months. Welcome to the show, everybody. Today is episode number 30, so it's a little milestone for us. We did just me and Jake today. We did 2 parts. Our first part was about pretty much all about MMA, and just martial arts in general. Second part, we talked about movies and things like that. We talked about the new Sacha Baron Cohen show, which is really cool. It's interesting. And some weird high school classes. So enjoy the show.
Don't give him clear shot. Don't give him clear shot. Don't give him clear shot. Don't give him clear shot.
All right, let's do it. 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Clear Shots podcast. What episode is this? Is this officially episode 30? What are we at?
I think 29? It is.
30?
I think it is 30.
No shit. Well,
milestone. Milestone episode.
What do we got? What do we got going on? We got UFC 227 Saturday. Garbrandt Dillashaw. We're also going to see Bill Burr live Saturday night, so we're missing UFC.
So we're not going to see that.
Yeah, I'm kind of upset.
I mean, maybe by the time we get out of the show, the fights will still be on, and then we can just watch it on our phone.
The show start?
I might be able to try and stream it. Mm-hmm. It'll kill my data, but I'll fuck it. I mean, I probably could stream it, I imagine. Because, I think the show's at 8. Mm-hmm. I think. And usually the fights don't actually, the main card doesn't start until 8 or 9 anyway.
Yeah.
So there's a chance, I guess. I mean, in worst case scenario, you just watch it on Reddit. Mm-hmm. Watch a Vimeo link.
Dude, they had the link for Aldo. Who the fuck did Aldo just fight? Hendricks?
No. Wait, who?
Jose Aldo. He just fought the other day.
I have no idea. I didn't watch. I didn't even know that was happening until it sent me a notification on my phone. I was like, oh, all right.
Yeah. He won. He looked good. I think it might be one of his last fights, though. He's been talking about retiring, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been fighting since he was 18, 17.
Yeah, he's. There's no reason to keep going. He's fucking.
He's
when you've had a career like that, it's why?
Yeah, he's top 5 ever, guaranteed. It sucks because a lot of the people that hear the name Jose Aldo, they instantly just think of him getting one piece by McGregor, so they think he's a scrub, not realizing just how good he really was.
Yeah. There's guys that it's weird because they hit their stride and then they win fucking 9 fights in a row. Mm-hmm. And then they are at the top and they are basically the fucking best in the world. And then all of a sudden they lose and then people kind of forget about them within a year.
Yeah.
It happens. There's a couple guys that did that.
Well, there's still people like Chuck Liddell. People don't even know who Chuck Liddell is. I mean, granted, he stopped fighting 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah, but he it's kind of like if you started watching football and you didn't know who Barry Sanders was or fucking
even Peyton Manning.
Yeah, even Terrell Owens or somebody, somebody who was a personality.
Chad Johnson.
Yeah.
Steve Smith.
It's like you wouldn't, I guess you wouldn't know unless you really looked into the history. People don't do that either. It's hard enough to get into a new sport in general to even like learn it and like be like, oh, hey, this is this guy, he plays for this team, this guy,
Yeah.
There's a lot of fucking people. And then even if you watch multiple sports, it's hard to even remember what sport they fucking play. Like, yeah, Manny Machado, his last fight, it was pretty fucking
Dude, for the longest time, I thought Manny Machado was a boxer. I'm not even kidding.
Because his name is Manny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And then they were like-
Pacquiao's a solid third baseman. So
Yeah. So like, yeah, man. And then Manny Machado is on the Dodgers now, apparently. And I'm like, oh, that's new.
Yeah.
Didn't even know that was happening.
well, the Dodgers like wanted to put a bunch of money into it because they know they got a shot at winning the whole thing. So they're like, fuck it, trade deadline's coming up. Let's just put money on Machado. It's a good move.
Yeah, for sure.
They're fucking all in. I think they got a real shot. Boston's gonna be tough to beat too.
Mm-hmm.
Boston's real hard to beat.
Boston pisses me off so much.
Yeah.
Because it's like, whenever the Yankees are bad, Boston's bad. And then whenever one of them are good, the other one has to be good
Yeah.
too. It's so fucking annoying. Like, both teams last year, well, the Yankees made it to the ALCS, but this year going in, I'm thinking, oh, fuck yeah. Yankees they're gonna steal the division. They're gonna fucking run away with it. Then all of a sudden it's like, nope, Boston's better.
I mean, yeah, they started
nowhere.
strong.
Yeah.
And Boston's kind of pulling away a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's Houston, New York, Boston, LA, Dodgers.
Yeah.
Because the fucking Angels are 15 games behind the Astros. That ain't
Jesus
happening.
Christ.
The Astros are fucking great. I mean, I don't know. There's not much you can really do when a team's that good in your division. It's hard.
Yeah. Especially when it's a team like the Astros where every single
And their pitchers are just fucking...
every single part
Jesus.
of them, there's nothing bad about them.
Yeah.
And just Verlander.
I mean, it's fucking Verlander. Like,
yeah. Like, Verlander is still great, which is insane. Like, I remember when they traded for him last year, and I was like, oh, Verlander, he hasn't been good in like 2 or 3 years. And my dad was like, no, maybe going to Houston will turn him around. It fucking did.
I mean, he's still one of those guys that's like, it's like, even if he's not a fucking ace pitcher, he's still like a fucking really good pitcher. Like, either way, he's not going to be like, I mean, he could be your ace guy, but
Yeah. And that's
having
why,
him in a fucking pitching rotation either way is a good thing.
That's why baseball's such a fickle sport too, because you got guys like Verlander that have been good since I was in like middle school. And then you have guys like Tim Lincecum or Brian Wilson.
Yeah.
Those two dudes that just completely fell off the face of the earth. Cliff Lee, guys like that. AJ Burnett. Well, he was getting old either way. But then you also have like CC Sabathia that is still pretty decent.
Yeah.
Even
I
though
don't think
he's
he'll
like
be
39.
around much longer.
I think this is his
He
last
might
year.
be done after this year. I think his contract's over after this year too, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think he's probably going to call it. Yeah. I don't know. He's been around as long as I can remember.
Yeah, since like 2002, 2003 maybe.
That dude throws hard. I mean, he just fucking puts everything into it. It can't be good for his arm.
No. Not
I
at
mean,
all.
there's a degree of technique to throwing 100 miles an hour, but like at a certain point, it's not good for your arm. It's not supposed to bend that way.
No. I know. This new era of the Yankees is good, but I still I miss the fearsome foursome. Jeter, Posada, Pettit.
Yeah, I mean, that
And,
was...
Yeah.
yeah,
A-Rod. Mariano Rivera. It's just not as exciting. I was watching a ton of baseball when the season started, but it happens every year. I get burnt out.
Yeah, it's like...
Because it's on like every night. and
it's always
just-
on. Yeah, that's the thing. It gets very difficult to even fucking remember to watch.
Yeah. And the games all just blend into each other. They really do. And it seems like ESPN would rather cover NBA free agency Twitter drama than cover the actual sports that are going on. Or they'd rather fucking, what was it? The other day, I had a day
That's
off.
one thing that is annoying to me is like if I watch like any TV sports, it ends up being them fucking just talking about drama instead of like being like, hey, this is what happened in baseball the other day. This is what happened in this the other day. Like, here are the highlights. Yeah. Like, no, that doesn't happen. Highlights don't exist. It's
even
like
NFL
PTI
Network is getting bad.
Like, I haven't watched that. Well, I don't think I have it anymore. I don't know.
The only shows I can tune into on ESPN, like you just said, PTI. I like PTI and Around the Horn because it's actual PTI is just, you can't beat PTI.
I just don't want to hear people talking about it. I'd rather see what happened. I just want to watch highlights. Just give me the highlights of what's happening. That used to happen all the time. Like when I used to watch SportsCenter, it used to just be highlights.
Yeah. Yeah, and then what's the one show I started watching? The Dan Le Batard show. It was Stugatz in the morning. That's the best show on. That's the only show on ESPN worth tuning into, honestly, because it's a sports show for people that don't like other sports shows. Where sometimes they'll get like into goofy tangents and stuff like that, but they let the audience dictate where the show goes, and they do all these polls and stuff like that. And it's, you know, it's just a bunch of dudes. It's almost like if we had like, if it was like me, you, Bill, and I don't know, like 2 or 3 other guys, and we just shot the shit about sports for like 2 hours, 3 hours straight, whatever it is. And yeah. ESPN is going downhill fast, and it's been going downhill for a long time.
I'm surprised they haven't fucking hit the bottom of the hill.
Fucking the other day, it was the other Friday when I was off out of work. Fucking, they had Overwatch, professional Overwatch on ESPN. Like fucking esports. And then I think it was ESPN2 was the basketball tournament with all the old college players, which was cool, but it's like, it's in like a high school gym. Nobody wants to sit down and just watch all these old washed up like 30-something-year-old college guys play basketball.
Yeah.
And like they don't even have, ESPN used to be a 24-hour show. And now it's I can never catch it when it's on. Or not ESPN, SportsCenter.
SportsCenter, yeah. It is, yeah, because they do have a lot of programming. It's weird now.
And it's all shit that, it's like they're trying to segment their audiences. You know,
they have 3 channels, don't they? Like ESPN.
They have 3 on.
So like don't they have one cable that runs? I feel like there's always one that's running SportsCenter.
There used to be. It used to be ESPN News. If SportsCenter wasn't on 1 or 2, it was on ESPN News. And now ESPN News is all these obscure sports that nobody watches. Like what the other day they had on.
It's not really news.
No, they had on like it was. I'm not even kidding. It was like Southeast Regional Men's Softball. It was like men's softball was on for like the state tournament or something, or regional tournament. And then they had like, leading up to Little League World Series. I guess they're trying to get people in the Little League mood, but it wasn't even Little League. It was just like whatever's above that, like high school age teams. And it was just,
yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. And it was just, who fucking
right.
It's getting.
Why can't they just put a major league game on? It's not like there's it's not like there's a shortage of games they could fucking televise.
Yeah.
It's funny because like I scrolled through around like 6 or 7, and it's like there's definitely Major League Baseball on right now. How come none of these channels have it on? The only thing you can see it on is like Yes or like the Mets fucking station, or like once in a while Fox has one, and it's like why isn't there like there's got to be an MLB network.
Oh, for sure.
And I don't have it, so I don't think I have it.
I've been watching a lot of ESPN Classic because yesterday they were doing a Rose Bowl marathon. So all day they had condensed games of all the Rose Bowls, and they had one on yesterday that made me feel so old. It was the 2011 Rose Bowl, Wisconsin versus TCU. It was Andy Dalton's last game at TCU and J.J. Watt's last game at Wisconsin. And I was watching it, and I'm like, 2011? I go, they haven't been playing that long. And then, of course, I had to look it up, and it's like, yeah, they've been playing in the NFL. It's going to be their 8th season, which is insane. Or 7th season, either or.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that.
No. I remember when Andy Dalton, Jeremy Curley was still on TCU at the time. It was a really weird group of dudes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's weird. There's probably a lot of guys that fucking it feels like they've only been in the league for a couple of years, but they've been in there 10 years or so.
Yeah. I know. The big one that gets me is Tyron Smith has been on the Cowboys now since 2010. No, actually, it was the same year, 2011, because we picked Tyron Smith ahead of J.J. Watt. I think it was like 2 picks ahead of J.J. Watt. You really can't go wrong with either one.
Yeah.
I mean,
still probably should have taken JJ.
I mean, maybe. I mean, his career, they're saying that this might be his last year because of how bad his back is. He's gotten herniated discs and all this back surgery and stuff like the past 3 years. His season's been ending because of the same back problems.
Well, yeah. He doesn't exactly hit people softly either.
No. And he's one of the examples of a dude getting too big for his own body, like Bo Jackson. How he literally ran out of his, like he was sprinting so hard, he tore all of his fucking ligaments.
Yeah, there's some linebackers that just like play every down super hard and they just go super. Clay Matthews is one of those guys.
Yeah.
Like he's got a high motor. Like he's constantly going.
And
he doesn't like it's the effort level. You can tell with some of those linebackers because a lot of them have to cover receivers sometimes.
Yeah. Sean Lee's the same way. That's why Sean Lee always gets hurt.
Yeah.
And he's made of glass to begin with. And then he's out there trying to manhandle dudes that are like 6 inches taller than he is because he's not that big of a guy.
I feel like a lot of middle linebackers could be better. It's just they don't have that effort level.
Yeah.
Because that they have the fucking intangibles and shit.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of them don't want to work extra hard because your career is so short.
Right. They want to prolong their career pretty much. But then it's like you're kind of trading it off because you're not going to make as much money in contract negotiations.
Yeah, there's actually negotiations still going on right now. The Jets finally signed Sam Darnold to a contract, the quarterback, because he wanted guaranteed money. They were only going to give him the minimum guaranteed, which I think was only like $5 million. Mm-hmm. And he was like, "You're going to give me $5 million guaranteed each year instead of $5 million for all 4 years." So they finally signed it. The Bears, Roquan Smith, he might hold out like Joey Bosa did last year because the new helmet rule with tackling, you can't lead with your helmet anymore. You have to have your head up while you tackle, which seems way more dangerous.
That does seem more dangerous.
But I don't know.
That's going to be some whiplash shit.
Yeah. And, but that's how they were talking about. That's how he tackled in college was he led with his helmet and led with, his head.
So you have to tackle like when you dive in Madden and you just put your hands out and then you basically look like you're falling and look like a fucking retard.
And, so they're talking about how they're worried that he might get suspended, for the way he tackles. So he told the Bears, he goes, I don't want a guaranteed contract, but if I get suspended, I want a clause in there that makes me guaranteed to get my money for games I miss. Because if you get suspended, you don't get paid. And he still hasn't even reported a training camp. He's still in Georgia. Like, the Bears are just fucking retarded. And it's funny because you see, I think it's besides the one fluke year, well, not really a fluke year. They had Urlacher and that whole fucking crazy Lance Briggs and all that, the Bears that went to the Super Bowl. But since then, the Bears have just been mediocre.
Yeah.
I think they had 1 year. Didn't they play the Packers in the championship?
They were in the was it NFC championship? Yeah, it has to have been.
With Jay Cutler?
Yeah, that was maybe 4 years ago. Maybe more than that.
It would have been when the Packers won it, right? When the Packers won it all? So like 6 years ago?
Yeah, it might have been. Yeah, it had to have been. Because they won. Yeah. Yeah, that was
and since then
2010 or 09-10 season.
Yeah.
So probably 2010 January or February or December-ish. I don't know, man. It was the seasons all blend in.
They really do.
It's so weird. And I couldn't even tell you who won the Super Bowl probably fucking 4 years ago. If you just said, hey, 4 years ago, who won the Super Bowl? I fucking wouldn't remember. I'd have to go back in my head and be like, okay, let's see. Last year was the Eagles.
The year before
like
that
Patriots.
was the Patriots. And then the year before that was the Broncos.
Yeah.
So it would have been the Patriots again against Seattle.
Right. I mean, you could always just say Patriots. You got a pretty good chance.
Yeah, you literally got like a fucking 1 in 5 chance probably of being right. I know, and that's funny. I have friends that I don't know how they do it. Because the NBA is not bad. It's entertaining. I think I said before, the NBA is at the same level for a sport as the WWE is. I watch it because the shit they do is really cool.
Yeah.
But, this guy's like, well, you're complaining about the Warriors being so good, but the Patriots are always good. It's like, but in basketball, if you did 7-game series in football, it would be the Patriots every time.
Yeah. Well, the difference is like in series, you can win a series a little bit more easy than you can win one game.
Yeah.
Like in football, it's you really don't know. Like somebody could go down and that's the end of it. That's the game for that whole team.
So getting that whole argument is just so weird for me.
Yeah. I always felt like they should just score games instead of saying like, oh, this team's like in baseball, this team's 75 and 40 something or whatever. Mm-hmm. Just be like, how many series did they win? Yeah. Just go by the series.
Yeah.
Like I get they have that many wins, but go by how many series they've actually won. A lot of times you're playing 3 or 4 game series throughout the year. It's like, go by that.
There's got to be an analytic for that somewhere. Baseball's all those fucking Excel spreadsheets.
The records will be smaller. Mm-hmm. It's like you're showing that you're still showing that you can win games.
Yeah. But it's like if a team gets on a hot stretch and they win 12 games in a row, that's still only going to be like 4 series.
Right.
So it's like, I think with baseball, it's like this. I love like every team has their own season within a season. Like there's always a team, usually the Nationals, that starts off the season and it's like, yep, they're the clear favorite. And then all of a sudden the Nationals do what the Nationals do and they nosedive right around the All-Star break. And it's like, then you have teams like the Yankees last year that were completely garbage between like June and August, but the rest of the season they were lights out, so they get to make it to the playoffs, you know?
It's just too hard to keep everything working through the entire season.
Yeah.
It's way too hard to do that.
The amount of travel you're doing, practicing. I mean, do you think baseball practice is that strenuous? Do you think it's
No, I mean, probably
it's
not.
probably very laid back compared to a bunch of other sports.
Yeah, I mean, you probably have like you probably do like batting sessions and shit, but like BP once in a while. Mm-hmm. But I imagine it's not like fucking 2-a-days in fucking the NFL or something.
Yeah.
You're going to be playing and your off days, you only get like maybe once a week or twice a week at the most, you know? Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously players take days off. That's another thing that's weird. Like now playing the show instead of playing like Madden or something. In football, you never had to worry about like who has the energy to play on this day.
Because everybody's on the same schedule.
Yeah. So now you have to be like, in the show, you have to be like, oh, this guy's got like no energy right now. I got to put somebody in for him. And so does this guy also needs to be benched, but who the fuck do I put in for him? It's like maybe I let this guy play a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. I definitely feel like baseball managers don't get enough credit.
Because
they're like, oh, look at them. They're dressed up as a player. They just sit there and clap. They're like Jason Garrett.
Well, there's a reason that there's so many baseball manager games.
Yeah.
Like, because it's fucking deep.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's hard to do. And I mean, you're probably not the only guy that's doing it. I mean, you got a hitting coach and some other guys around you that are probably helping you. But you got to manage your bullpen. You got to manage like your lineups. You got to know what utility guys can play what.
Yeah, which guys are good against which pitchers and pitches. Which guys are good in this weather, that weather.
I'm trying to pick up Jose Reyes off free agency because he can play. He's such a utility guy. Mm-hmm. Like he can play anywhere. And I need that bad. Because then I can anybody who's tired, I can just throw them in.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've just been playing. I was playing a disgusting amount of NBA, and I got completely burnt out on that finally.
Yeah. And
I just started playing UFC again, and it's so infuriating. Mm-hmm. It's seriously the most. I don't think I played a game since like the original SmackDown versus Raw that has gotten me so mad than this one.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what I did, reinstalled it, and I created a fighter in each weight class. And I started with heavyweight. That was kind of boring. And then I did light heavyweight, which was alright.
Yeah, I imagine heavyweight's restrictive.
It's super slow, and it's just slugfest the whole time. There's no technique that's really going into it.
It's like, I just threw 5 punches. I'm out of stamina. Time to back up and wait.
Yeah, exactly. I made a welterweight guy. The welterweight guy was pretty sweet. That one was really fun. I still have to finish that one. But I just made a flyweight. Made a flyweight Muay Thai fighter. Because I never fight in the clinch, and I was like, yeah, I might as well try it. It doesn't make any sense to me. My guy can't do anything in the clinch. I have all the moves maxed out, advanced core and all this, but you can't practice. There's no practice mode. You know what I mean?
In the career mode,
the career mode, yeah. There's your drills, but there's no like sparring practice or just like, go in and train against a dummy.
You can't do practice mode like with your career guy. Like your career guy isn't even in the game, is he?
I don't think he is.
Like if you go to quick play or whatever,
I think he might be. I think the created players are in it. I had to check that out.
Because you might be able to just go to the main menu and play around with him.
Might do that.
I mean, I feel like the Muay Thai clinch is always hard to do in games, but in the Undisputed games, you could just like kind of sway them. And then throw a knee, and they'd fucking take ways.
Yeah,
too
that's
much
all
damage.
I'm trying to do.
Yeah,
and it's fucking annoying because I'll be in the clinch. I won't even get to reverse a whip or anything like that. All of a sudden, I'll be in the clinch. I'll be ready to do a takedown or something, and then all of a sudden, my guy's head is facing the ground, and I have a knee coming right up. Blood goes everywhere, and I'm knocked out.
Yeah.
And I'm fighting fighting Henry Cejudo, whatever his name is.
Cejudo. Yeah. The fucking Muay Thai clinch is just so savage.
Yeah.
Dude, if you can master the Muay Thai clinch, like, it's fucking crazy what you can do with it. Like Anderson Silva, when he fucking could, who was it? Was it Rich Franklin? He fucking savagely destroyed Rich Franklin with the Muay Thai clinch. And if you can grasp your hands the right way and put it up against their neck, it's so weird that you can't just escape that.
Yeah, right.
But you kind of can't, because if you put your head down to kind of like slide out,
knee in the face,
you're gonna just take a knee. It's very odd that you can't just get out of that. It seems so easy to. It looks like someone's just got their hands wrapped around the back of your head.
Yeah. But it's all the way the tension works, and their core versus your core.
Yeah.
And you're already at a disadvantage because they have their weight on you.
So all you can do is put your hands up and kind of like hope that you don't take a knee to the fucking face.
Yeah, that's the other thing too, is I have no idea how to defend on the ground. I've been playing this game nonstop. I played it nonstop when it came out, and I've been playing it nonstop for like the past week. And I get on the ground as soon as as soon as the guy I'm fighting gets me into a back mount, it's over. Because for some reason, when I get into a back mount, they can block any shot instantly. But when I hold right bumper or right trigger, or even both of them, my guy just lays out sprawled instantly. And he's like, yep, please just kill me. Please punch me in the fucking spinal cord, the fucking brain stem over and over. I had to restart the fucking fight against Cejudo like 18 times today. And I finally beat him with a heel hook. My guy, as soon as I get pissed, I got the takedown into the heel hook. That's wicked fucking shitty. And all you have to do is finish one gate with the heel hook, and they tap out instantly. God. Yeah, it's so unfair. It's so unfair.
Just run at him and like fly.
Yeah, you run at him, you do like a cartwheel, and you flip him over, heel hook, and then it's just boom, 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 done. Takes like 10 seconds.
That's funny, because most people would just be like, oh, I know what that is. I'm pretty sure I've seen that before. People have tried to do that. I mean, I think people have been caught with it.
Heel hooks?
With those like rolling heel hooks.
They're
like an
I don't think you're allowed to do them anymore. And if you are, you have to be very careful, because you can fucking ruin someone's leg.
You can footlock. Yeah, there's different footlocks you can use. It is fucking dangerous, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's dangerous, and then like, is it really worth it? To try and get into that position, because you're trying to grab his leg. You're trying to basically be upside down on there. Like, so until you get it locked in, you're at a complete disadvantage, and you have to hope that you can lock it in fast enough before they're able to like kick you in the fucking brain. Like,
yeah, a lot of wrestlers have like a heavier base, so they tend to get caught with heel hooks a lot, like foot locks a lot more. Fucking Frank Mir did it to Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
But Lesnar was just asking for it. I mean, he was standing right in his guard, basically. Like, he was literally standing over him. And then Mir's like, oh, okay, I'll set this up, like, casually and just grab the leg, and that was it. But Lesnar was unexperienced at the time. I mean,
yeah. Well, I can't believe Lesnar only had, like, 2 fights before he was allowed to fight for the belt.
Yeah.
He got in based on just name alone, really.
Yeah. I mean, he kicked Shane Carwin's ass, though, realistically.
I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm a big Lesnar guy. I really hope that he beats the shit out of Daniel Cormier, because I feel like that'd be the worst way for Cormier's career to end. And he's the most unlucky guy ever, so of course that's the way his career's going to end. But, you know, he's going to make a ton of money off of that fight anyway. Apparently it's in January. So, we'll see. I'm really excited. The Stipe Cormier fight was insane. Like, was just not expecting it to end that quick. And I wasn't expecting, if you told me Cormier was going to knock him out in the first round, I would have laughed at you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Like, let alone knock him out in general.
It's very hard to see either of them lose, really.
Yeah.
It was kind of one of those where, like, I kind of don't have a dog in the fight sort of situations.
For sure.
I mean, I don't know. They were both good champions. You know, they're both guys you want to be like a figurehead for the fucking, like, the guy.
I could listen to Stipe talk for days. Like, he's just such a calm, like, you wouldn't think that this dude beats the living fuck out of people for a living. Like, he's such a nice family guy.
Yeah, he's a firefighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they can't show that Modelo commercial anymore, can they?
I don't think
he's
so.
not the champion anymore.
Nope.
they just like CGI it and put Daniel Cormier in there.
They do the deep fake.
He's a firefighter now.
They deep fake Daniel Cormier on him.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's I mean, he is a guy that you probably would want as the face of the UFC, you know?
For sure.
He's a commentator too.
Stipe is, or DC?
DC.
Yeah.
I mean, he knows his shit.
And he knows everything about everybody.
Yeah.
Like, he's been in the game for so long. Just growing up, or not growing up, but like working with these guys before he was even in the UFC. And then just getting in and just taking
I think that's part of it. It's weird because he started so late, but I think that might have been an advantage.
29, 30 when he started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. But also at the same time, you're kind of gaining knowledge at this. You're even though you're not doing it, you're still learning about it. It was weird because when I started rolling, I rolled with like a yellow belt or something. This one time we went to, there used to be a couple gyms here where they would do jujitsu, and I went to 2 different ones, and I had never really trained in jiu-jitsu, but I had watched so much that, like, I knew the general, and, like, I would, you know, like, Christian and I would, like, you know, just roll around and shit. But I would know certain techniques just from watching and listening to people talk about them, and even YouTube tutorials and shit. You could figure things out. And I was, like, at least holding my own with this guy. So it's like, you know, you do learn things just from seeing it. And if you watch it enough, it's very weird. And in practice, you kind of recognize, like, oh shit, like, there's another level to this. Like, these guys are they've perfected this. And there is, like, some guys that were, like, regular jujitsu guys would fucking they just had a really good sense of control. And it was hard to move, like, in certain situations. It's very uncomfortable being on the bottom in any situation.
Jiu-jitsu is fucking rough, dude.
It's very difficult, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
When a guy's, like, in your guard, got, like, their forearm on your neck or something, and the only thing you can do is push their elbow, get that thing the fuck off of you, because you can't breathe.
No.
You feel like you can't move. You're your gasses you out fast, like immediately, because you're constantly trying to escape. There's guys disrupting your breathing, and it's scary. But you know you ain't gonna get hurt.
No.
But it's like,
but you
fuck,
feel like you are.
But you feel you're also like, fuck, like I gotta get the fuck out of this, or I'm gonna look like a pussy.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, that's the one thing I miss about Taekwondo was like going and growing up with all these guys that had been doing it. You know, by the time I was done doing it, I'd been doing it for 13, 14 years. So everybody that was there, I knew, and I knew all their nuances. I knew which kicks they liked the most. I knew how they liked to start the fight.
Yeah, like this is where this guy's going to come from.
And it was always a lot of fun. I don't want to go. I see the people there all the time, and I want to go back just because I miss everybody, but I don't want to go back because it's just it's just not a thing I like doing anymore.
I never got really good at striking. Like I did like 3 months of boxing. Like that was it. And because that place didn't really,
I think they got shut down.
It was at Riverside.
Yeah, they didn't get shut down, but they were closed down within like a year.
Yeah, there wasn't much to it, and really all I did was like ring work and shit, where you just kind of cardio stuff and working on technique. At least I learned how to throw jabs and throw straight rights and shit. Like at least I knew how to throw punches. But it wasn't like I never fucking sparred with anybody or anything. I mean, I have, but that's just us screwing around.
Yeah. That was the thing I miss, or the thing I didn't like really. I didn't like the way sparring for Taekwondo works. It's the exact opposite of like what MMA would be. You know what I mean? Or boxing.
Is it a point system?
It's a point system, but you're wearing full gear. So you like before the fight even starts, you're tight, you're hot.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I can understand the helmet at least, but the chest protector is fucking heavy. It feels light when you carry it, but when you put it on, it's heavy, it's tight. And that's what hurts more, because when you get hit in the chest or in the chest protector, you're feeling the full impact is spread across your body.
And I imagine it slows down all your techniques.
Oh, yeah.
You practice them at your body weight.
Yeah, because you don't really... I remember when I used to do tournaments all the time, you wouldn't really practice with gear on until you were leading up to your tournament.
Right.
You know, and the fights were way quicker, too. I think it was 3 3-minute rounds. Or 3 2-minute rounds or something like that. But... then you have the kids, like the one kid that gave me I got the 2 concussions in one fight. The kid that fucking, the kids that trying to show off and they're trying to do spin kicks and all that fancy shit.
Yeah.
And it just gets old, you know. I liked it, but it was just,
well, I think those martial arts, a lot of times it's a good way to teach discipline and things like that.
That was mostly what I liked about it. It kept me out of trouble because I did it
doing something.
Yeah, my entire life I went 3-4 times a week for 2 hours a week, and met a lot of people, did a lot of cool things, went all over the country, stuff like that. But
yeah, I was never into it until I was even 18 or something like that.
Yeah,
into because I started watching the UFC in like 2009 or so. And fucking went to that gym that had opened up, and I can't remember what it was called. Something.
Fuller's?
No, it was called Hard Knocks MMA. They had a cage in there and everything. Those fucking cages are not soft.
Yeah, dude, they are fucking rough.
They
are
not
cages.
Soft.
They're like fences.
Yeah. And the mats are not mats. I mean, it's like they are, but it basically feels like a wrestling mat on pieces of wood. And when you walk around, you can feel the wood. Like, it's not like these things are just fucking solid, like...
Yeah. See, I wish I had left after I got my 3rd black belt. I wish I had left to do MMA or anything like that. My parents never would have let me do that, though. I had a couple friends. My friend Adam, actually, after he got his 2nd belt, which, as much as I love Taekwondo America, it was... a 16-year-old should not be a 3rd-degree black belt in Taekwondo.
Right.
That's just not the way.
Well, yeah, it depends on the martial arts, too, though. Like, in jiu-jitsu, you have to wait. Like, you get a certain belt, you have to be this belt for 2 years. Then you can test for this belt. It's like, then you gotta do, Like one of them is only like 4 months or whatever. And then the next one's like, oh, you gotta be a fucking white belt for X amount of time or whatever.
I think in Taekwondo, when I left, it was you're a white belt for maybe 2 months,
right.
1 month, 2 months.
Then you can take a test.
Yeah,
you can take
yellow belt was the same thing. It was like, I think it took, if you kept at it and you tested, you had to be allowed to test. But if you kept at it and you passed your pre-test every time, you would get your black belt within like 3 years.
Yeah.
And then from the time between your first and your second, it was whatever belt you were going to, that's how many years it was supposed to take.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 years between your first and second, 3 years between your second and third.
So what's it in Taekwondo? White, yellow.
When I started, it was white, yellow, green, blue, red, black. And then they changed it to white, yellow, green, blue, purple, red, brown.
That's what it is in jiu-jitsu. Yeah. It's not, brown barely exists in jiu-jitsu most of the time, I think.
Depends on the type of
it all depends on where you're doing it, really.
Yeah.
But then there's levels above black too. You can get that coral, like the red and black, and you can have red with like X amount of stripes or whatever. And that's only for like grandmasters and shit, people who've really been like, I think there's a belt that like 8th or 9th degree that's only like, it's only given to people who have done real shit for jiu-jitsu, like the Gracies and shit. So you can't really get to that level.
Eddie Bravo.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Eddie is. He's probably 7th or 8th.
He's up there. I know that.
But at a certain point, it's just prestige is what's getting you a higher fucking ranking. What degree was Eddie?
3rd.
He's 3rd degree?
3rd degree.
Yeah, it's very strange. Like, it's all, I don't know how, at a certain point, like, once you get your black belt, only certain things are going to get you there. It's not like there's a test for another level.
No. It's usually by contributing to the art.
Yeah.
By either opening a school and training other people.
Right, yeah. That's basically what it is. And a lot of them do that. A lot of fighters now are just going to have their own gyms. That's what they're going to do after they retire. I mean, I imagine some of them are better at teaching than others, but they know the techniques, so they can help you. And they probably have people around them that fucking know how to teach people. I mean, they had coaches. That's another thing that's like underrated in MMA. Like, it's not 100% just you. Like, it is when you get in the cage, but teams are fucking big.
Yeah, dude.
Like, Greg Jackson's camp, like, there's guys that, like, just come out of Greg Jackson's camp. They were never really anything special, but, like, fuck, now all of a sudden they're just a savage. Like, you got guys that know MMA. Like, and that's the thing, too, is, like, MMA is, like, still relatively young, so, like, certain coaches can still develop certain techniques, and what's happening over here, what's developing over here isn't what's happening over here.
Yeah, you're definitely going to be able to notice a big change in MMA as soon as MMA coaches, like not like kickbox coaches, taekwondo coaches, karate, whatever, like guys that are black belts in taekwondo and jiu-jitsu and all these that are all teaching all at once. And then you'll have whole fucking camps that are just like 3 or 4 different guys that all have 4 black belts apiece that just live and breathe martial arts.
Right, yeah. I think that's one of the best things to do is, like, if you're going to open a camp, pull guys from everything. Yep. Even though, like, some are better than others in MMA. Like, a lot don't really translate to MMA.
No.
Even karate did in a lot of ways.
In the beginning, for sure.
It's starting to, like, die out a lot more. The thing is, when you had, like, Lyoto Machida and even George St. Pierre, guys with, like, Kyokushin karate backgrounds, like, they were still good. Like, because they were good at, you know, moving in and out. They were good, like, they had a wide base. They were defensive fighters.
Yeah, and Joe Rogan was actually talking recently about how you'll never see a guy make it in UFC that's based in one discipline, like Lyoto Machida.
Yeah, no, you really can't do it.
And like Taekwondo, you never see Taekwondo fighters in MMA because kicks are so risky. And like Taekwondo is mostly kicks. Like, yeah, and because like when we were doing sparring, you don't get points for punching or anything like that. You actually, if you punch too much, you get a fucking warning. You're supposed to do all kicks.
Right, you can't just like send a flurry at
all your blocking, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the best to go in with. I mean, maybe a wrestling base is probably the best to go in with, because you can at least control, like, dictate where the fight's going to take place. So you can be like, oh, well.
And then it's like, well, what kind of wrestling? We talking American or Greco-Roman or freestyle or anything like that? But even then, I think the wrestling that you learn, like, in school, like high school wrestling and stuff, that's flat, like you mean, basic.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good for your control, for sure. And, I mean, but you're not going to always be on top. I mean, I think wrestling is a good, if you're going to want top position, if you're going to control top position, wrestling is a good experience to have. Jiu-jitsu is great if you're going to be on your back. Some guys like to be on their back. Mm-hmm. Damian Maya, he'll fucking lay down for you. He'll be like, hey, get in my guard, bro.
Yeah, dare ya.
See what happens.
Yeah, I'll fucking make you throw up your own blood in front of everybody. What was that? He had the guy in the chokehold and he fucking coughed and it was just straight.
Yeah, I can't remember who that was, though.
Surge of blood out of his face.
There's some really bloody fights that I've seen. That fucking BJ Penn fought Joe Stevenson. And he cut him open good. He was in his guard and he threw a fucking elbow, like a right elbow, and just barely like caught the forehead. And it was like bleeding like a fucking fire hose. Like it was coming out bad. And at the end of the fight, they were just both red. Like it looked like they were sunburnt. It was great. That was one of the craziest fights. Stevenson, I liked Joe Stevenson. But he just got demolished in that fight. I mean, really BJ Penn was fucking, he's another guy that I don't think a lot of people, like young fans, would know. He was really fucking good. And especially his jiu-jitsu was unbelievable. He could move his legs like they were fucking another arm. He had such dexterity. It was insane. And his control was unbelievable.
There's a lot of them. There's guys that like people that like when I was just getting into it, I remember,
it was probably like BJ Penn, St. Pierre, like those guys were big.
Right when I was getting into it, it was right around when Chuck Liddell, it was when the first Undisputed game came out, actually. It was when I first started watching UFC. Yeah. The first Undisputed game. And so I think Chuck Liddell was right around the end. Yep, Shogun Rua.
Machida was around.
Yeah, John Jones was just starting out. I think he was on the Ultimate Fighter, and that was the first season I watched.
Rampage Jackson, yeah.
Anthony Johnson.
Mirko Cro Cop was big at the time.
And then definitely Anderson Silva and St. Pierre. There's a lot of them. But the problem was I didn't get to watch it a lot. I'd only watched if I went out with either at Wes's or if I was at my Uncle Mark's. My parents didn't like it. My grandpa hated it. My grandpa tried to get me into boxing. He loved boxing, but I didn't like it. I didn't like how long the fights were.
Yeah.
And I don't like the scoring system. I think we talked about this with Bill the other day. So
yeah, it's just now that MMA exists, now that I know that I can watch the UFC, like I don't feel like I need to watch boxing anymore.
Yeah. And like we were talking about earlier before we started, Bellator is coming up. Bellator is getting all these big names that are either
Bellator is getting guys that leave and, cause guys, maybe they can't test or they can't, piss clean. Or they just get sick of their contract. They're sick of Reebok.
Yeah. Get sick of not being able to own your own brand.
Yeah. And they just go over there and it works. I mean, they're still a big promotion. People know who Bellator is. I mean, maybe not casual fans. I mean, most casual fans are just, UFC, that's cage fighting, right? Like, they don't fucking know what's going on.
And they don't realize there's like fucking 3 different associations just in.
Yeah.
Like, Strikeforce is one a lot of people forget about. That's where most people start out. Like Ronda Rousey started out in Strikeforce.
Yeah.
That one guy.
Yeah, that one guy.
And Pride Fighting. I remember Pride Fighting.
Pride was fucking awesome.
Pride was insane. And I remember watching that. Vaguely.
I mean, you used to have like wrestling intros and shit for Pride. It reminded me of Japanese wrestling shows.
But it was
actually
get into
a ring,
the fucking shit beat out of
and
each other.
You could soccer kick. You could fucking like stomp dudes when they're on the ground. I mean, it was savage, but it was great. And that was Shogun Rua. Shogun was like the guy.
Oh yeah, Was it Pride or Ryzen where they did an entire like 16-man tournament in one night?
I think it was Pride.
Yeah.
I know they used to do tournaments.
It was fucking crazy.
But you're fighting like fucking 4 times a night.
The other night I just watched Fedor when he did his tournament, and was it Fedor? Yeah, because he ended up fighting Mirko there, and he literally fought. It was 4 fights one night. Like
they didn't. I mean, I don't know if they didn't know what the impact was, but I don't think they cared.
When you're fighting, you don't care either.
Right.
Like, that's like, if I could have done in Taekwondo, if we could have done no pads or anything, I guarantee you so many people would have been all for it. But you can't when there's kids involved and all this money involved and stuff like that.
Fuck that, dude. Fuck that. Even when we were sparring, like just messing around, I have headgear here. Just because I have maybe 3 or 4 pairs of boxing gloves and headgear. I have MMA gloves, grappling gloves. Like I got all kinds of shit. I even have those fucking pads. Yeah,
the hand pads.
I have all that shit. But it's like, you know, if I'm gonna fucking spar with somebody, I ain't doing it with no gear.
I'm just weird, man. I love getting hit. I haven't been in a fight in a while. But the last fight
you're still gonna get hit. Yeah, but it ain't gonna knock you out. That's the thing.
Hurt. Like the last fight I was in, it was 2 years ago. Was awesome. Getting into a fight isn't good. When you're in the fight, it's good. But leading up to it, a lot of anxiety, looking around for cops, looking around for fucking people as you're screaming at each other in the street and stuff. But
I don't even remember the last time I was in a fight. I think it was at the Shed when that shit existed.
Oh my God. Holy shit. Yeah. So that must have been like...
That was probably 5
years ago.
And it wasn't even much of a fight. It was a scuffle. I ate a fucking right hand from this kid though. I didn't see it coming. But there was a guy at the door and like I was kind of like trying to get through him or whatever. And his friend like came running up and just fucking bam, right hand, like blindsided me. I just kind of ate it. I was drunk. Like I didn't even really realize what happened. Like you feel it happen. You see it happen. Yeah. And you're like, oh shit. Like you kind of like, you're in shock for a second. It didn't hurt. Like I didn't feel it at all. And then went to trip the guy that was at the door. And you know how there's like the planners on the left side of the door? That was dangerous. I almost hit my fucking head on those. I went to I put my leg behind him and put my head or my, like a rock bottom kind of thing. And I was like going to trip him. And I did, but we both fell towards the planner and I like rolled over the fucking planner and I was on the ground. It sucked. Yeah. And then he was over me and he was like, cause he ended up on top and he's like, I don't even know what he said, but he looked at me and then he just turned and ran because his friends were all like doing a whole bunch of other shit. There was like a scuffle going on behind him in the parking lot. I was like, okay, this is great. And then I ended up with a ripped shirt. I basically had no shirt after it.
Rest in peace.
Somebody was like, hey, you need somebody got me their hoodie because I went there with like 6 other people, luckily. But it was nice that they all helped.
I like that you looked over at the camera where the camera would be. Like The Office. The last fight I was in, it was one of my buddies. We were at a house party on Van Buren Street, and we were drunk. We were talking about something. We were talking about Taekwondo, and he's like, I'd beat your fucking ass. And my other friend is like, no, don't, please don't. And I'm like, dude, I don't want to fight this. Just let's fucking cool it. And he goes, no, you're always talking about how you did Taekwondo and how you won in tournaments and this is bullshit. I'd fucking kick your ass. And we were only out there for like 30 seconds. I fucking cracked him right in the side and he dropped. And I was like, are you all right? And he goes, I cracked his ribs.
You gotta strike first. That's the key.
Well, he was hitting me and I just remember like he was way more drunk than I was, which is why there was no way I was going to calm him down. And he was like nothing, hitting me like nothing. And so I just started walking towards him and then he was like trying to hit me again. And I just ended up cracking him right in the ribs with a kick and he dropped. And I was like, all right.
Yeah. It's weird too. Cause like when you hit people can take a lot more than you think.
Yeah.
Like you can hit guys as hard as you want, but when you see guys in the UFC knock dudes out with one hit, that's real power.
That's scary.
That's power.
Like the McGregor Aldo hit.
It's not that easy in real life. Everybody thinks like when you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to go beat this guy's ass and you're going to just throw a fucking right hand. They're going to go down. That's it. Nuh-uh. No, that ain't what's gonna happen, son. Fucking the best thing to do though is if a guy's talking like that and is about to do something, you got to hit him first.
Yep.
Because all he's gonna do is keep talking. Because you know he is. He doesn't want to engage. Obviously, he just wants to keep talking shit. Mm-hmm. So fucking hit him first, or take him down.
Yeah.
That's if you can wrestle. That's the thing is like you don't really have to get in fist fights if you can take somebody down and just fucking hold him there.
I know. I got into one scuffle.
Did you see that video of Matt Serra taking the dude down? There was a dude that was like, they were in like a food court or some shit.
Yeah.
This dude was going crazy, and Matt Serra takes him down, and he's like just holding him there. He's like, "Yeah, calm down, calm down." Sarah's a fucking monster, dude. I love Matt Serra. That dude, he's a nice guy too. Apparently, from he's got a show with Jim Norton, and he does that fucking UFC Unfiltered or whatever.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Jim Norton's a crazy fucking bastard.
Yeah. Those two work pretty well with each other because they got like a personality, like their personalities bounce off each other.
I don't even know if Jim Norton is still doing the Chip Chipperson show. I think he got canned. Let me see.
He might have. I haven't looked into it.
Nope, he's still going. He's on episode 67 now. He only does an hour a piece now. He was doing like an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Well, we only do an hour a piece. We're almost at an hour right now.
Already?
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah, I fucking who's Sam Roberts is the other guy when they do the WWE show. He's not bad.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
He knows his stuff, without a doubt.
Yeah, wrestling podcasts are easy to do because you can speculate so much, and so much of WWE is like based on the crowd.
Yeah.
And what the fans want. So the more you fucking get that shit out there, the more chance you have of it actually happening. And that shit does happen too. It's weird. I mean, we used to do it. Mm-hmm. And fucking, I mean, you could go for hours just talking about wrestling.
Holy shit. We have some episodes that are like 3 hours long.
Yeah.
For real. I mean, I remember the one WrestleMania we did. It was the last one we did. Mm-hmm. We did like 2.5 hours of speculation the day before.
Yeah.
And then
we did a post show too.
It
was weird because you could go into you could watch a Monday Night Raw and you think not really anything happens, and then when you start talking about it, you're like, you know what? Yeah, this could go somewhere. Like maybe this storyline could go this way and this way. It's like there's a lot of ways different things can go, so you can constantly be talking about
And then you get
things.
into the hypothetical discussion and the past discussion, and if this guy came back, how would you react, and what would happen with this? And
yeah, comebacks are a big thing on there too.
They really are.
I guess they're doing a pay-per-view that's all women now. They got one that's all women.
For WWE?
Yeah. I was like, oh, why? Like, what's the point of that? I mean, do they even have enough women on the roster for that?
I don't know.
I forget what it's called, Evolution or something.
It's kind of weird.
But it's like, how come they don't have one that's all men?
Let's do one that's all black guys.
Yeah. Let's do one that's all transgender.
Let's do a segregated pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's another thing. They were talking about
It's like, I get it. They did the women's revolution thing.
It's cool. Like, no, I'm not saying anything bad about it. I just think it's strange.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, Jesus, like, I don't know if we need all that. It's like they've already main evented pay-per-views and shit. We know that they're there. It's like, do they really need it all?
It's like some of the women are the reason why a lot of people watch it.
Yeah.
Like you said, the whole women's revolution was insane. And a lot of them are better than the men that are on there.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Yeah, it's just all funny. There was a whole thing with Scarlett Johansson. Did you hear about that? I think it was a couple weeks ago. Week or 2 or 3.
Oh, I think so, yeah.
There was a movie where she was going to be
she was going to play transgender.
For a transgender woman.
Yeah, and everybody freaked out.
Everybody freaked out, and because she's not transgender, and it's all of a sudden it's just like, well, now nobody that isn't transgender is going to want to be in a movie about that.
I just don't get it.
So you're ostracizing yourself.
But you're playing a role. Like, that's the whole point.
Yeah. They're like, well, it's the same thing as blackface. And it's like, well, no, because it's not tasteless. Blackface can be done right. You ever see Tropic Thunder?
Yeah, that's true.
And nobody freaked out about that.
Well, that's what actors and actresses do. They portray other things.
Yeah.
Like, fucking, Wahlberg wasn't a fighter for the movie The Fighter.
Or Blue Steel.
You know? Like fucking...
Have you seen that movie?
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. Ben Stiller wasn't a fucking supermodel for the fucking Zoolander movies.
I don't know, man.
It's the same thing. It's just that it's transgender, so now everybody wants to freak out about it. But you can't do racial. You can't like become a fucking black guy and everybody accepts you all of a sudden.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like people are just...
It's wild.
And it's almost as if the outrage culture is finally subsiding.
I think it's starting to a little bit.
Because people are
You see Hardwick, that Hardwick shit got dropped pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because she's obviously fucking full of shit. Bad. And that is good because that's proof that you can't just fucking believe all women.
Yep.
Because that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in the first place.
Sorry thing.
Yeah, it's like, just because they said it doesn't mean it's true. And we fucking finally have an example of that being the case.
So Chris Hardwick is in the right, or he wasn't wrong?
Evidently, she was just trying to get back at him because he was an asshole at one point. But it's not like he fucking did anything really wrong.
That's fucking stupid. And I remember hearing about how he like totally embarrassed her or something. Like she's like, this is where it started. She got surgery done. She got like cysts removed from her vagina, or I don't know, cervix. She got some surgery done, and they were like, "Oh no," the doctor said something like, "Oh, no strenuous exercise for the next couple weeks." And I guess as soon as he said that, Chris Hardwick's like, "Oh, well, it looks like we're not having sex for a while," and like she got pissed off about that. And I'm like, "Isn't that your husband? That's also a fucking comedian."
Yeah, like that's literally the whole thing.
It's bothering me. I don't know. Yeah, that whole outrage thing, they had the one with Jeffrey Tambor that they said he was sexually harassing women on the set of a show, when it turned out that that was what his character was a creepy old dude.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he was doing on the set. I mean, he already looks like a creepy old dude, so he was doing it on the set to get ready for roles, and people were like, it's like, so
there's a weird fine line there too.
Yeah, I don't know,
because it goes back to that movie that we were talking about with what's his fucking face there, Ace Ventura.
Jim Carrey?
Yeah, Jim Carrey.
With the method acting?
He did, yeah, he was always in character.
Yeah, well, that's what he does.
Weird.
He's fucking insane. And that's also where, like, you see actors and actresses are fucking crazy.
Mm-hmm. It's like you can't just get into character 2 seconds before the fucking thing happens.
Yeah. It's dedication. Yeah, you know that interview where he was rambling on about how existence was futile and that life is meaningless and all that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just crazy.
And I think he does it to keep himself in character, but also as a way to get we're talking about it still, you know? Talking about Jim Carrey and that whole situation. So It's a good way to get the word out by acting like a fucking lunatic.
Yeah. Well, time to take a break.
Without a doubt.
All right. Clear Shots is available on any of your favorite podcast platforms. ClearShotsPodcast.com is the best place to find all of our social media links. You can find us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at ClearShotsPod. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.